Hey folks, David Stewart here. Hope you guys are having a great day. Let me tell you about some lessons I learned by clearing out a storage space. I bought like a storage room, like a mini storage. People have storage rooms. I bought an abandoned one, kind of like with the Storage Wars reality show, which I've never really watched, but I know it exists. And, I bought it for resale, just clear it out and sell everything that was in it that I could sell. Why would I do such a silly project? Don't I have better things to do? The answer is totally. But my wife and I got really excited because we saw some things just at the front with the photo that we felt like could be easily worth the price of admission for clearing out this particular room. And there's something that you have to understand about us. We're both very much type A personalities, and we really get excited to do projects. As weird as that sounds, we would see when we were first getting together, we would see furniture, for sale or whatever, and we would get excited to take it and refinish it and like make it good and use it. And so this was another thing that's like that for us. We get excited to do projects in our house. We get excited to fix things. We're people that like to be active in what we're doing and making new things. That's just kind of how we are. So this was a project, and we both got excited because we saw some things in there. They're like, hey, that could be worth some money, or that's something that we could use. And one of them was this arcade cabinet kind of buried in the back of the storage room. And it's like, oh man, if that arcade cabinet, if it works, that could be worth the price of admission just by itself. I could totally work with an arcade cabinet. I would love to have one as part of my collection and be able to work on that. Turns out that was a complete bust. I'll get to that in a minute, but I learned some really valuable lessons from this experience that if I paid to learn those lessons, you can learn it through a seminar or you can learn it by doing. And my wife and I were both people that really like to learn things by doing. So in this case, we learned by clearing out the storage room. The first and most important lesson that I learned is almost everything that you own is worthless. Almost everything that I own is worthless, and almost everything that you own is worthless. Let me elaborate on this because this is a really important lesson that people need to learn when it comes to their relationship with physical possessions. I am not against physical possessions. I am not a minimalist. I'm kind of a maximalist. I have a lot of stuff. I like collecting things, but most of the things that you buy and you own and you use are disposable goods. They're goods that are meant to be used for a while. They wear out. You get rid of them. You buy a new thing, or they become outdated. They become obsolete. And at that point, they really don't have much of a value. Just because something you paid money for doesn't mean that it's worth money after the fact. That doesn't mean that you can resell it for money. And so the problem with the storage space, and I knew this lesson from before because my parents had a storage space, and after I died, we couldn't get rid of it. It was a sentimental thing. It was an emotional thing. Like, we can't get rid of dad's stuff because it's dad's, right? And he cared about it and he had it. But the thing is, as soon as you put it in that storage space, it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. And you put things in the storage space because you're not ready to get rid of them, or you look at them and you're like, I can't throw this away. I can't donate this. I can't sell this. It's valuable. It's worth money. So you pay to store it. And at the end of the day, especially with this space that we were looking at, the people who had it probably paid a lot more money to store all the things in it than the value of the things that we got out of it. So the rent that you pay to store the room is probably more than the cost of simply replacing the goods that you store there. Unless you know that it's going to be temporary, right? Or you are using that storage space actively. Like, some of the things we found in this room were catering equipment. So somebody had like a catering business and they stored their catering equipment there and never got it back, right? But if you had a catering business and you didn't have room for all your catering equipment, yeah, you could use a storage room. Go get your catering equipment for the catering gig and then go put it back in the storage room when you're not using it, right? So it's in a specific place that you are going to be using. So most of the time, and this confirmed it for me, and I've known it from my own personal anecdotal experience, People have problems throwing things away that they paid money for or that they have a sentimental attachment to. And eventually that stuff gets thrown away anyway because you don't have room for it. You forget the reasons for it. You abandon the storage space and the stuff is just left there behind for whoever is going to pick up the tab and sell the stuff. Whoever's going to pick up the abandoned storage space and sell the crap out of it. Which was me. This is not a thing that I normally do. This is not like a business that I run. It's just something that my wife and I got excited about because we saw a couple things in there that we thought we might be able to use or have value. And indeed, we did find a lot of things that we were going to use like that catering equipment. So that's the big one. Most of the stuff you own is worthless. When you don't have room for it anymore, you should probably donate it, get rid of it, or sell it if you can. And if a time comes further down the road that you need that item, we live in a time where it's really easy to buy that item again or buy one that's of a similar quality and fulfills the same purpose. So like one of the items that was in there was a washing machine. Okay. Washing machines are valuable. You pay hundreds of dollars for them. But if they had sold that washing machine, they could have had money. And then if they needed to move and needed another washing machine, they could have bought another one. They could have bought a used one that would be the same price as the one that they sold and be the same value and basically the same quality. So yeah, paying rent to store a thing in case you might need it in the future is probably a bad idea. So that's lesson number 2. If you are storing something, if you're putting something away, out of sight, out of mind, chances are it's a thing that you probably should just get rid of. And so this put a lot of reflection on me. Is like, am I just storing stuff that I just should probably get rid of? And the answer is yeah. There's a lot of things that I'm storing in my own house. I don't have a storage space, but like in the attics, that out of sight, out of mind. You put it up there because you're not ready to get rid of it, and then later you're like, I should probably have just sold that thing. And then if something came up and I needed that thing again, I could buy it, right? So some things we store because we only use them once a year. Like you store your Christmas decorations, you store your Halloween decorations. We have a lot of those. Those are good things to store, right? Your seasonal items, your Christmas tree, you can store those things. Bad things to store are like a table and chairs. Okay. So there was like a table and chairs in there, and they weren't a good table and chairs. They were like a pretty crummy table and chairs. They were, if you got them for free and it was your first apartment, I'm thinking back like if I was 21 again, but that would have been a great table and chairs. Very sturdy, like really nice laminate top that is going to stand up to a ton of abuse and just built very solid. But no resale value really, right? Like it just wasn't high enough quality for anyone to care about buying it. So we ended up donating that particular item. So if you were thinking of storing the table and chairs, it probably would have been better to just get rid of it. So if you're going to store it, you need to have a reason to store it, and you need to have a plan for it exiting storage. Don't just hold on to things because they have a lot of sentimental value. And the third lesson there with sentimental value really is that the sentimental value actually gets forgotten, believe it or not. So we found lots of old photos. We found lots of old personal memorabilia. Well, what happened was it was grandpa's, and then dad died. And so the grandkids just didn't care about it or didn't know it was there. And it's not like anything that you can sell, right? It's like, well, these are dad's glasses, right? I still have my dad's glasses like in a drawer because it's such a personal item. So what made me think about this is rather than just storing or putting in a drawer these personal items that have sentimental attachment, you should put them in a place where you can see them. And so one of the things my wife did when we moved to this house is she had lots of these little wooden things that her grandpa had painted. Like he did Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and there were little wooden cutouts, little craft things that he made. Well, she framed them and she put them on the wall. And so that way, every day we can see that and we can remember him. And we can remember what he did, and we can remember how he cared about his grandkids and the things that he did for them, and just that little bit, right? I recently bought, you guys are going to laugh at this, but I bought Disneyland Pogs. Now, this is a completely ridiculous thing to buy. Pogs. If you guys don't know what Pogs were, they were this thing in the 90s where you stack up these little round cardboard things. They were the cardboard caps to like milk and juice cartons that they stopped using years before that, but they still use them sometimes in Hawaii. So it became a little game where you collect them. They print different things on them, and so you try to flip them over, and then you got to keep them. That's Pogs, okay? Alpha's back in Pog form. Well, the reason I bought this off eBay was I kept having this great memory of going to Disneyland, and when we went to Disneyland, my dad sprang for us to stay at the Disneyland Hotel. And I remember there was this key card that this was the first time I'd ever seen a door open electronically. And this was in the 90s. No key. It was like a card with holes punched in it. And you put it in and then pulled it out, and then the door would unlock. And we stayed at the Disneyland Hotel. And what we got there, I think when we went to the park or maybe at the hotel, me and my sister both got these free Pogs with the little slammer, this little plastic piece that you slam down on the Pogs to like flip them over. So we got these Pogs, and I just remember going, what the hell are Pogs? And I looked it up on eBay, and somebody had a sealed set of these Pogs, from 1994. I'm like, I'm going to get those, and I'm going to put them in a frame, and I'm going to put them on the wall, and I'll try to find a picture of me and my sister when we were back in 1994. And there was like 2 or 3 weeks that they did this in 1994, which means I know exactly when I went to Disneyland in 1994. I know exactly when my dad brought us down there in spring for us to stay in the Disneyland Hotel and go in an hour early. You got to go in an hour early. I don't know if you still get to, but you could ride the monorail from the Disneyland Hotel to the back of the park where no one was at, like an hour early. So we rode back to Toontown, and we got to like ride I think it was the Roger Rabbit cartoon spin, which was like the super hot ride at the time. Now keep in mind, we lived in Southern California, so this wasn't like we weren't flying in from London or something to go to Disneyland. But I remember those Pogs, and I remember playing them with my sister, and my Pog collection from the 90s when I was a kid is long since gone. But those, I have a memory attachment. So I bought them, and they were like $8. It's nothing, right? Now, that's a thing that could just be garbage, right? If it ends up like when I die and someone's like, what the hell are these? I don't know. There's some dumb thing from the 90s. Throw it away. It's basically worthless. I paid almost no money for it. But I'm going to make something that means something to me. So rather than putting the sentimental thing in the drawer, I'm going to put something on the wall that allows me to have that memory accessed frequently so that I can enjoy the thing. So I think having things is great. And I think sentimental attachment to things is great too, if you're going to use the things or put them on a display or somehow make the sentimental thing worthwhile, right? So if you have like grandpa's dog tags, put them in a frame, put a picture of grandpa next to him. If you have like one of his service medals, like make a little display that remembers what grandpa did in the army. And then your kids can ask, hey, what's that about? And you're like, okay, that's grandpa's, that's a medal that he got here. And here's his dog tags from when he was in the army in World War II or Vietnam or whatever it was. And you just have a memory of that. And so you kind of like a little shrine to those objects. And I got this idea from a friend of mine, his dad and mom, for my friend's grandpa. When he died, they made like a little display in one of their coffee tables, one of those glass top coffee tables that had his glasses and his hat and like some of his personal items that they were there, right? Like what are you going to do? They're worthless for resale. And you don't want to throw them away because they're attached to that person. So they put them together in a way that made it a memory for that person. And that's just a great way to access a lot of those sentimental things, because the problem is 6 years after, this was a really interesting experience because I got to figure out who these people were and like how they lived, and I figured out when they died and things like that. So like 6 years after a guy dies, no one is coming back for the things that they couldn't part with when he died. And I remember this lesson from when my dad died, because it took like a whole year, more than that. I think it took like 2 or 3 years, and I had to go through the storage space with my sister and my then girlfriend. We went through, who's now my wife. Let's be clear about that. So my wife, but she wasn't married to me yet. We were together. But we went through the storage space and we're like, okay, old computer from the 90s. There was no market for like vintage electronics that was worth keeping it. So like we just junked a lot of stuff that we were holding on to because it was sentimental. It was dad's computer. Yeah, I still have one of my dad's computers that's just kind of like an old laptop from the 90s that I may sell because like, what am I going to do with it? Right. you can only have so many sentimental things. I have a lot of my dad's old collections of things that probably should be thinned down and keep the things that really were attached to him. So my dad had a lot of rifles. It'd be good to keep the couple that he really liked to use the best, and then the rest can move on to a happy home where somebody will make really good use of them and enjoy that object and have their sentimental attachment to that object. And I think about with the things that I've collected, right? I have a pretty substantial guitar collection. It's not just the Parker Fly behind me or the Hello Kitty guitar, which you guys see. And sometimes I have like a whole room of the guitars I've collected because I've been in the business and I love guitars and I love finding unique ones. And I bought one this week and I'll do a video on that one, right? I bought a Gibson baritone guitar. They're kind of rare. But what happens when I die? Well, if my kids are not super into guitar, they'll probably keep a couple of them that they think are really good or really valuable, kind of heirloom instruments. And then it's okay if they sell some of the instruments. It's okay if they sell them off because they'll be good use to other people, you know. So it's okay if they're not into guitars. I'll just try to teach them, like, it's okay to sell some of these guitars when I'm gone. Okay. Don't hold on to the whole guitar collection just because dad loved them, right? Keep one that you know is like, this one was dad's, you know, this is the one dad always played, and you can keep that for the family, keep one or two, and then it's okay to let the rest of them go. So another one. So these are more practical lessons. So the sentimental lessons, let's put those to the side. What are the practical lessons I learned from clearing out this storage space? Well, I threw away a lot of stuff. Most of the things in there ended up being garbage. I also learned a lot about, say, online, let's say, selling things online. So I learned more about that than I'd done in the past. I have sold things on eBay before. I've bought things on eBay before, but I haven't put up a bunch of things that it's like, I'm going to try to make my money, make back by investment, selling things on Facebook Marketplace or on eBay, or might do an Etsy shop to sell some more kind of niche items. Like I have some antiques that we got out of there that are pretty valuable. So I learned some cool lessons there. I learned the more efficient way to do it. I've also learned that eBay has really used technology to make listing and pricing a lot easier than it used to be. But you shouldn't rely specifically on eBay. eBay is going to miss the mark on the value of a lot of things. So a lot of, I put a pair of vintage Ray-Bans up that I had found in there, and they were really good Ray-Bans, but I wasn't going to use them. They were too small for my face. I got a big head. My head's not just big because it fills the frame. I have a big head. It's a big head with a big brain. They didn't look good on me. I like Ray-Ban Aviators, but I have a larger pair that I like to wear. So I'm going to sell these, and you put them up on eBay. eBay will automatically put them oh, they're $20. I'm like, nope. I asked other AIs, and specifically Grok. Grok was really good at searching the internet and figuring out the value of things and nailing the upper end of where you want to be and how you want to price it. And so I was able to sell those glasses for a tidy profit, and I'm really happy with that. And I've been able to sell some other items, and using AI to be able to really quickly search price histories and accurately price your item so that it's the correct market rate. You're not losing money by having it be too little, and you're not losing a lot of time by pricing it at the top end of what you can get and therefore having it sit around for a while. So using AI is really useful. So if you're thinking of reselling, ask Grok, ask ChatGPT, ask the AI, hey, what's this worth? It was really cool being able to take a picture and send it to Grok and be like, hey, what's this worth? And Grok will check all the sites and be like, on Facebook Marketplace, things like this usually get about $100. I'm like, okay, great. So I'll ask $100, and if somebody offers me $75, I'll take that because I want to get rid of it. I want to flip this stuff quickly because I don't want it to sit around in my house. Okay, so I learned a lot of that kind of stuff, and those are really good lessons to learn. A part of that lesson is that certain items are going to sit around for a while. So if you're thinking of reselling, or you're thinking of, I want to get rid of some of my stuff that I have sitting around because I'm taking that first part of the video message to heart. Be aware some things are going to sit around for a while before they sell. I sold the glasses almost immediately. I might have had them underpriced. There were some that were there for like $240, but they just sit for a long time. So I had them less than that, and they sold modestly quickly. I had offers come in. They were like lowball offers, and I just ignored them, and someone paid the full price, and that was great. And I hope those gold glasses will just be really great for them, because I didn't need them, So be aware that some things are going to sit around. What we did is we cleared off a shelf in our storage room. We have kind of like an air conditioned kind of mud room that we like have our cat boxes in and like other storage stuff. And so we just cleared off a shelf in there, and we have all the things there. And so when they sell, take it off, put it in a box, and mail it off. eBay calculate shipping for you now. It's just much easier to sell things on eBay. And what I think I might do, and you guys can tell me if this is something you're interested in. If you're still watching this, let me know what you think. I was thinking about selling, say, personalized author copies of my books or my CDs or whatever on Etsy or on eBay. So you can order the book that you want, and I'll personalize it just like I did with King Leper last year. I'll draw a map in it for you, or do an ink drawing, whatever you think is cool, and mail it off to you. I can do a pretty short turnaround because Amazon can print the book for me, so I can get it in like 2 days and personalize it and mail it off the next day. Like a 1 week turnaround might be a really good idea for a product. So it gets me a lot more ideas of like, how can I make additional money? How can I turn this e-commerce thing into a more profitable enterprise, rather than what I'd done as an author, which is just really highly automated. Go to Amazon, buy it, just order it from Amazon, so I never have to deal with inventory, and I can just focus on stuff like this. I think personalized is something special enough that I'd be willing to do it. I don't want to manage a bunch of book inventory, shirt inventory. I don't want to do that. But if you want a personalized copy, I don't have to manage inventory. I just have to get that one book on demand, personalize it, mail it off to you. So I may do that. Those were really good lessons. I learned good lessons about people trying to flip things on, say, Facebook Marketplace. Everybody's trying to make a buck, and a lot of people have this idea that there's like free money to be found in people that don't know what they're selling. And there might be, but pretty often what we got was, or not often, a couple times we got was, we had something at a reasonable price. Somebody is like, I'm on my way, but I only have $25 for it. And it was like 40. It's like, sorry, it's 40. Well, I'm not going to buy it then. Okay. Someone else will. And someone else did, So there's lots of little tactics that people do in these kinds of situations that if you already know the value of the thing, AI can help with that, then it gives you a lot better secure place. Like, no, I think I will sell this, and I don't have to take like a lowball offer. I don't actually have to subject myself to that. I can wait a little while and do that. The last one would be have somewhere to store your stuff. Like if I was going to do reselling as a business, if I was going to do the Storage Wars thing, like getting these storage units and clearing them out, I could totally do that. And it actually really appeals to my meticulous nature. My wife and I actually had a really great time doing this, like sorting all the stuff and going through it and like, this is garbage. How do you think this is worth it? And like figuring out where to put everything. We actually had a really good time doing that. We're kind of weird like that, but that's who we are. If I had a barn out in back of my house to store this stuff, then I'd be like, yeah, dude, I'll clear out the storage space, clear it out in 2 days, sort everything, throw the garbage away, and then, have your inventory out there where you can have it on eBay or on Marketplace and just be selling out of your barn all the time. That would be the way to do it, rather than what a lot of people do, which is like trying to scramble and like I'm trying to find places in my garage. Like, you just run out of space. But it encourages me to clean up my garage, better organize my stuff, throw more stuff away, make sure everything has a place, and just start reducing the amount of things that I've held on to simply because I'm like, someone paid money for this. I can't just get rid of it. It's like, actually you can, and you should probably figure out how to sell it. Okay, so those are my lessons that I learned from this. I had a really good time with it. I feel like I bonded a lot with my wife, got to spend extra time with my wife at the end of the summer. We had time to do it together, and it was a cool project. It was fun to do something new that we hadn't done before and to learn some lessons that we hadn't learned before, and ones that we really needed reinforced about the nature of material goods and our relationship to material items. And I just wanted to communicate some of those to you. Give me your thoughts down below about storage and selling and whatever things you may have learned from things like this. I wrote a story a while back called Mad Uncle Marty, and maybe I'll link it. You can get it. It's part of the Afterglow collection available on Amazon. And there's a free audiobook version of that story on YouTube that you can listen to. Mad Uncle Marty, when he has to go to the old folks' home because he's suffering from dementia, his house is full of stuff that is worthless. So I already kind of knew this, but it's like Funko Pops and like old console games. So in the year 2050, what's going to happen to your Funko Pops? What's going to happen to your fun little tchotchke collectibles? So they're going to end up in the dump. And I think we're going to come up with a lot of boomer collectibles that are just going to be trashed because nobody wants them. Do people want to pay? Or you're gonna get almost nothing for them. It's like, here's Grandpa's giant train collection. You know, his crazy trains. No one wants them. And like someone will buy them. I'll buy all of them for $100. It's like, but he paid thousands for these. We can't just sell them for $100. Are you going to play with them? No. They're worth $100 because that's what somebody's willing to pay for them. Time marches on, guys. So I wrote that story thinking of things like this, and you could check that out and listen to it and let me know what you think. I'll check you all next time. Have a great day. My books are available on Amazon. I'm into physical books. I love my physical books. It's okay to have the books around that you love and then you have attachment to. But it's okay if you don't like a book. It's okay to pass it on. Have a great one. See you next time.